Good evening, everyone. This is the Bowmen podcast here coming at you. I'm in Virginia. Troy, our partner there, is out in Ohio. We
How's it
got some
going,
great
everybody?
guests coming your way today. We haven't recorded in a while. It's been about 3 weeks of drama and banter and back and forth. So now that that's all over and we're on the flip side, we got a great guest for you here today. We got Benny from Buzzard Roost Saddles down there in Louisiana, Mr. Waddy himself, it looks like. We're not going to let that one go. It's going to continue,
I,
just for the record.
hey, no real tree, Mossy Oaks.
Oh, there you go. Different. It's different. And then we got Marty here from Iron Will Broadheads, some of the best in the game, if not the best in the game, in the fixed blade market of broadheads. So, Marty, thank you for coming on short notice. It's been an honor to speak with you guys. So, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. So Troy, man, what's going on up there? For you guys down here, you don't really know. Troy is in the first form final competition. So they have that first form outdoors, like that whole lift weights, like Cameron Haynes lift, run, shoot. So he's been doing that for months and came in what, eighth, seventh, eighth place?
I ended up seventh. So I got
Seventh place.
lucky. I think some people got disqualified or something, so it bumped me up a little bit.
Yeah. Some people did the wrong thing and he got bumped in, but nah, man, he's been awesome. He's been doing it the right way. So he's going out in May to
St. Louis.
St.
Yeah.
Louis to do the in-person performance and represent the Bowmen and Romano Outdoors and Greenlight Outdoors. So he's been training hard and working hard, and we just sent him some new arrows to use out there. So hopefully it'll get him shooting a little bit farther. So
Yeah, hopefully they start guiding themselves here pretty soon. That'd be nice. So
and
doing what I
that's
can.
so I got a question when it comes to the in person. Do they use the same target format? So like it's plus seconds or minus seconds when you
I
shoot
I
what you
believe
hit?
so.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I
Okay.
believe so. It's a similar platform, and then like for the qualifying rounds, because it was 4 workouts over 4 weeks. And we only shot out to 20 yards the whole time. But from what I've seen from last year, which they haven't disclosed anything to us yet, they're keeping it pretty hush hush. Probably more or less to keep anyone from getting an advantage on training. If you knew what was coming, you'd be able to gear everything towards that. But from what I saw last year, they had very varying ranges for different workouts. Anywhere from 20 or 30 yards all the way out to 60 some yards for their shots. So it's going to be interesting. And then the other format, is it's we're going to be there for multiple days, but they don't know. We haven't been told, if it's 2 workouts a day, 1 workout a day. If so it's pretty interesting. It makes it a challenge for training because you just got to do the best you can and try and prepare. But
Yeah.
my
So
wife's
now
got me on a strict diet, and I'm just trying to keep up.
is it only the top 7 or 8 that are going, or is there more?
There's 10, the top 10 of
So it's
us.
only the 10 of you that are going.
Yeah, yeah. So there's 10
Okay.
males and 10 females.
So what do you get if you win?
The first place prize is like $10,000, I think, and then
Nice.
so
There you
that would
go.
be nice. And then they also still have I'm in the running, competing, if you will, for the first form outdoors pro staff. They're looking for pro staff members, so that's a pretty big. That's I think I don't know if I remember correctly, like $25,000
Yeah.
sign on bonus for a multiple year like contract with them.
Yeah.
So
You gotta pick
oh,
up your game. Hannah Barron's killing you
I'm
out there, man.
I've seen I've looked
You
up
know,
some of the
I
competition,
expect
and
some bikini photos of yourself out
I
there, like
I
jigging a
just hope
catfish or something.
I
Like,
hope it
come on, you got
doesn't
to
come
keep
down
up.
to, yeah, I've looked up some of the competition, and I hope it doesn't come down to like sumo style push each other out of a ring, because they're just gonna toss me. But I'm hoping it's hoping I
No.
can keep up, so it'll be
Well,
fun.
I am hoping that they keep true to their core and they do include some, keep it hunting based,
Right.
when they do that and shooting based, because a lot of this can get, misconstrued out there with the social media push and the glamour and the fame of how you're going to get, who's going to get us to the top, who's going to get us the most likes or sales or whatever. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I mean,
They
shit. Look at
I
look
mean,
at Cameron Haynes. Like, he doesn't give a shit about anything. Like he runs, he shoots, and he doesn't care what he gets or doesn't get, and that's it. Like
yeah.
you either like him or you don't. So
Yeah, everything I've got to know about, First Form, I'm wearing their T-shirt too. But as a company, it's more about improving your surroundings, improving the hunting community, whether you eat their, supplements or take their supplements and do their products, that's secondary to, improving yourself health wise and bettering
Great.
your community. And just like this, the four of us sitting here talking, I mean, it's just about trying to be a good human at the end of the day and
Awesome.
and
That's what it's
growing.
about,
So
man. That's what it's about. All right, let's get into our silent guests here down there. I mean, I think Marty might be on mute or something. I see him laughing, but I don't hear
I,
anything.
there we
I'm trying
go.
not to be loud. Try
Ah,
not to
that's
be
okay.
loud.
You can be yourself. So Marty, man, so like let's talk a little bit. How'd you get involved with Iron Will? What brought you what do you do for them? And let our clientele here, our listeners know what you're about.
Yeah. So I was an archery hunter before and was looking for new jobs, of course, right? But shot lots of firearms back in the day, had a lot of successful hunts there. But it's just I was listening to a podcast with Chris Rowe, and I was like, wait, you can call in elk like turkeys? And so therefore got into elk hunting and discovered Iron Will. They had a job opportunity, and now I'm the social media manager. I do all the photos, I do their social media.
Wow.
We do the trade shows, like everything. So I spend a ton of time with Bill and going on all the hunts and stuff, and it's been pretty epic so far.
Wow.
That's awesome. That sounds wild, man.
That's cool.
Lucky.
So yeah, right place, right time. There you go. But
Yeah.
that's awesome. So, what is it like to work for a company of that stature? I mean, it's anyone says Iron Will out there, it's like saying Chevy. It's like saying, it's the cream of the crop when it comes to, I'm sure I'm gonna get some kickback for saying Chevy, but it's a well-known brand with high quality products, and ultimately in the fixed blade broadhead worlds in a single bevel, double blade with bleeder category, there's no touching it. So, how does that, how does it feel to be there and to come into a company like that and then have to sit there and be like, oh shit, I have to like promote them. I gotta like, it sells itself, right? And then, which should be easy, but it seems like it'd just be really hard, no?
Yeah, I mean, it's still you have your price points, right? And that's the biggest thing coming into it, as like when I first started, I literally was trying to figure out how much money I was about to spend on a pack of broadheads. But then after, missing my target and picking my broadhead out of the dirt, it was still able to shave hair. And it was incredible to just see that and the performance of it.
Mhm.
Like I used to film Nitro Circus for a long time, and
Oh, nice. I
that
love that.
yeah, like the first DVDs was me and my twin brother and a bunch of my friends just running around. Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, dude, because
We're
not
gonna need to dig into that a little bit deeper because that's awesome.
so dealing with those guys and like the number one of the number ones, like Travis Pastrana, and
Oh yeah.
I mean, so many the best people in the world, right? And then meeting Bill, who is, I was kind of starstruck because I'm like, dude, this guy's a legend. Like he makes the best broadheads in the business, and it makes it, as you said, easy to market just because the component system, the materials, the just how precise everything is. He's an engineer with 50 patents in the US. Like it's
Wow.
amazing. He hasn't told me any of the patents, sadly, which I keep trying to get out of him, but I was like, there's,
That's where the
con-
NDA comes in.
exactly. So yeah, but I mean, I get to pick his brain every day, and you couldn't convince me to shoot another broadhead. Even if I stopped working there, I would still shoot them and support them 100%.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what is the and Benny, we'll get into this with you as well and your company and everything down there, but what is the philosophy, right? So when you walk into, and I'm assuming at some point you walk into work, right? It's maybe all remote, I mean, at your office. I mean, what are they preaching? Like when they give, all these companies have marching orders, their mission statement, their vision. What is Iron Will saying to their employees, their pro staff, their shooters to keep them going? Like what's the marching orders? I just always wanted to know.
Yeah, like our slogan is reliable as science allows. So we basically like have this nerd background. Like I'm a camera nerd. Like I grew up filming. I've been in the movie industry forever, and I'm a nerd at heart. So being able to have something that is pushing science and is legitimately like data driven science, it was just, we tell customers basically like all of our machines, all of our products, everything we back up with a guarantee. So you get your pass through on elk, that broadhead hits a rock on the other side, we'll send you a new blade. If it bends the ferrule, we'll send you a whole new broadhead. So we
Awesome.
back that up.
That's fantastic. Um, I mean, yeah, that's just this crazy to see that and to sorry, I'm a little starstruck because it's for me it's I own an archery shop. I've been a tuner my whole life, a bow hunter, Troy's a huge bow hunter to have someone of that level and product of that level is just fantastic. I also noticed too is that there there are little renditions and everything that is done, right? But there always seems to be, and this is, I guess, a question more for you for marketing and the magic of marketing. There always seems to be an addition that drives people in, right, to buy more. So, what was the last one that you did over Christmas? It was like the 3 pack of I think it was the was it the elk antler one that you had, and it like pre-sale sold out in like 4 minutes or something. Like it was crazy. So how does that, is that a just something that's fun to do and just reinventing the repackaging of the product, or is it like strategic in the approach there?
Well, it's kind of like the Cam Haynes thing. We had a Cam Haynes custom engraved broadhead.
Hmm.
And a lot of the times when you're out there and hunts don't always go as planned. I missed a bull this year, but
Hmm.
luckily I got one later. But it's just,
Nice.
you have things that drive you, right?
Hmm.
So, like having that, either that elk or that whitetail and your Cam Haynes keep hammering on your broadhead kind of gives you something, like that reassurance and confidence in the hunt. That keeps you pushing. Like as a bow shop tuner, like you want your customers to go out there and pick up their bow and know that it's 100% dialed, that they can shoot to
Yep.
100 yards with confidence and not be, like, oh, my two under spine. Oh man, are my arrows straight? Are my fletchings right? Do I have contact on my rest? Like, there's so many things that go into it, or like, your saddle, you got some weird creaking or something going on. Like, there's all different kinds of things in this industry that help us with success. So that was the biggest thing, like putting, if we could put logos on a broadhead that's going to help somebody, psychologically, I guess, push through a hard time or something and have that confidence, we want to be there.
Yeah.
It's
That's
almost
awesome
like
to
that.
hear that it's that and it's not like, oh, if I put this on there, maybe I'll sell 25,000 more. It's the mental part of looking at it.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the Cam Haynes, like keep hammering and all that, like that small like custom touch that you guys as a huge company were able to do, whether it be a limited run or whatever. But like you said, it's gonna give that that specific thing meant something to those people that got it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that whether it whether it affected flight or not doesn't matter because it gives them that little touch of confidence, and helps them. So
Yeah.
that's cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Or
And he,
you're waiting for that bull to come around the corner and you're shaking and your arrow's going like this at the end and you look down and you see that on there. Like, it just
Yeah.
might be that little bit that you need to get you there to
Yeah.
breathe.
Well, it's like Benny can talk about it, but he customized like my personal saddle, and I know he does it to a lot of others. But you know, putting an American flag patch or like my name or whatever doesn't necessarily change the functionality of the saddle. And keep hammering doesn't change the functionality of the broadhead, but it just gives you that little spark or that little
Mhm.
boost or that little bit of pride in it. So that's cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
100%. You can trust it. You know it's going to work. And I mean, look at what has done for the hunting industry. Like literally Bill has a background with him before Bill even started like backpack hunting, pretty much. Like Bill had read Cam's books and everything, was like, man, how do you put all that stuff in your pack and then go out there and spend weeks on end chasing elk? Like that, this is what I'm trying to do. And so they actually have a history together. So it was kind of a pretty cool deal and, you know, big thing for Bill as well. I mean, I haven't met him yet, but I'm like, dude, you're, you know,
That's cool.
tough dude.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Well, that's awesome. I mean, that's pretty sweet. So when it comes to on your end and the marketing part of it, what are you looking for those people out there that shoot iron will broadheads? So, running that marketing, that social media, there's, we do it, everybody does it. Like you have sponsors, you have products, you take pictures, you put them out there. Like what gets you guys off? Like what are you looking for? Are you looking for real life success? Are you looking for fashionista pictures of the product? Are you, everyone has their own style, but what does what does Marty look for that sets them apart from everyone else? Because I mean, you just put your moose antler logo out there with a picture and it skyrockets, but what is the mentality behind that?
Yeah, like when I'm looking at stuff, I personally I think how social media should be for a company is kind of a customer service based thing where like people are seeing this product, right? They're getting flashed images all day, left and right of buy me, try this, try this is the new greatest thing.
Mhm.
Well, honestly, we're here for the customer. Like I get DMs all the time about arrow spines. What point weight? I have 82-pound bow with a 27-inch draw. Should I shoot a 340 spine? Like, no, like we have all these things in place to help our customers and to show them whether it's, a hit insert system, how they can help their, FOC or Aeroflight or tuning or using hot melt or any of those lines. Like I kind of use it. It's a marketing tool, but it's also a customer support tool for in my eyes, because we want to help people. Like we're like cool, neat, shiny things like that. Great. There's enough of those out there. Like we want to like be the best. We want our customers to have the best. We don't want to just half-ass something, and not stand behind it and like show people why.
Part of building confidence too.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
Definitely. And a customer like, dude,
know?
yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah. So when they see what your product can do, it builds their confidence so much, and that's one less thing they're not thinking about whenever it comes time for full draw. Whether it be in the saddle or in the elk woods, they're not thinking about it. It's working.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like, and for me, shooting where I hunt, like I would only shoot a fixed blade mostly because I missed the bull by clipping the tiniest branch this year. If I would, mechanical, I would not have that confidence. Nothing against them, but I just personally, that's how I hunt and where I hunt. There's a time and place for everything, but
Yeah.
that's just me.
So what are you using personally in your setup?
So I'm so last year I ran an Axis 260 spine with 175 grains up front.
Wow.
With a 73-pound bow. It was at like 273 feet a second or something like that. But I was shooting, consistently. Like I shot with Dan Staten and MFJJ at the Total Archery Challenge in Utah. And we shot at like 140 plus yards just messing around. So it
Yeah.
reached out there and poked them, but
That's a heavy arrow to be slinging that far, man.
it's not. So
What bow are you shooting?
I was using the Elite Omnia last year,
Okay. Mhm.
and then just got the Matthews Lift. I want to try, dude. I've tried everything. I've tried
Oh
so many
yeah.
bows. Like I
You're
don't.
telling me.
Yeah, exactly. But every
Yep.
year something new comes out. Like I've
Yeah.
used the Prime, I've used a bunch of Hoyt.
Yeah.
Elite is great. Now I'm shooting the Matthews because I got to talk to their engineer and hearing from them of just how efficient those cams are. Because you could have a really fast cam, a really high IBO, right?
Yep.
But you put a 520 grain arrow on there and it just slows everything down. So that's where I was like, I still have that momentum at those further ranges to then get that penetration by having, really sharp cut on contact broadhead. So that's like the confidence in me, like being able to shoot that far and just being like, send it is,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Benny,
That's
how often
awesome.
do you shoot that far down there in Louisiana?
I don't shoot that often, period.
It's 2 yards.
Man, I got a bow, but to be honest with you, I've been working 2 jobs, so I've been doing my day job and then doing this. So I didn't have much of an archery season, and the one hunt I went on, it proved to hurt me. I shot a good buck and shot
There
him
you
way
go.
too far forward, not enough practice. I ain't
Oh,
gonna tell you. And
We'll be there for
snapped
you.
the arrow off, and the way he was running out like a spotted ape, there was no way he was coming.
Oh, man.
we've all been there, sir. We've
Yeah.
all been there. And if you say you haven't been there, you haven't been hunting enough.
Yeah, you're
So,
lying. Yeah.
you're
A
lying.
rifle was my friend this year.
There you go.
There you go. We could put some iron will broadheads out of that. Out
Yeah,
of
I'm
that
gonna shoot.
baby.
I'm gonna
Like-
shoot 300 short mag iron wheels.
There you go.
Meat missile.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So Benny, you're out of Louisiana, and you obviously make some pretty sick saddles, man. And I know the one thing that really intrigued me. I'm honest. I'm not a saddle hunter. It's a fear for me. Like I ladder stand hunt. I'll go up in a hang on if Troy doesn't put the stairs too high up and I can't get my leg up there high enough. Like, I just like I'll get to 20 feet and fine, but I don't know, man. Like I'm just not comfortable in it. But what I have learned from your product is I believe and can, make me correct me if I'm wrong, that you are one of the only saddles that's fully adjustable for anybody. Like
Yeah,
like I can take Troy's saddle and put my fat ass in there, pretty comfortably and use it where if I went into something else, I'd have to get it custom made for me. Um, is that true?
that's pretty true. Yeah. So
Great.
we have a pant size range, and man, that if you get that pant size range right, the adjustability of the saddle should fit anybody. Whether you run a high tether or a low tether, I prefer a tether around collarbone height. I think that gives an even pull across the back and across underneath your butt.
So that's what straps to the tree when you're in it,
Yep,
right?
Yep.
Okay.
that's correct.
Marty,
And
you're a saddle hunter?
I've dabbled. I haven't killed anything out of a saddle,
Oh.
unfortunately. But
So you're that swing meme like this when like people
Yeah.
like the kid on the swing. That would totally be me for the record. I wouldn't see anything. I'd just be swinging up there.
You literally can though. If you have something like bacon, I mean, you literally can. You have that confidence, like
it's
especially if you have
so
layers. Like for your adjustability, I was like, man, because the saddle that I was currently running, like having it being able to fit a little bit extra layers would be that's
yes.
that's genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait for Benny to hit all his key points, and then I'm
I
gonna
know.
come
I'm
chiming
like-
in on
I'm
what
like,
I love about it. So, keep going, Benny.
Yeah. So, and we can adjust to any body shape. One thing we did is like we work on like a hub system at the bridge loops. And man, so you can adjust your bottom panel however you want. You can give it as much cup as you want. You can take it out. You can make it like you're leaning against your truck tailgate is basically what you're doing. Just lower your tether and then change the cant on your bottom panel, and then you can release some slack in your back band. So if you're feeling too much on your back, you can release that or put more into it. We got some things in the works that are really gonna step that up even further.
Wow.
Got some stuff coming. And like another cool thing we can do is not just adjustability, but ladies that hunt, they got those beautiful figures, and like we can mix and match. All they have to do is tell us, hey, my lower half fits into a large, but my waist is just tiny.
36, 24, 36, only if you're
Yeah.
5'3".
Yeah. So we can put her in a large bottom with a regular back band, and it really fits her well.
Sweet.
So that's something really cool that we can
Yeah.
do. If you contact us and let us know that that's something for you. We have guys that kind of need that too sometimes. Guys that lost a bunch of weight, it tends to stay in their hips, and we can make that happen. Just contact.
Great.
That's awesome. Even injuries, even somebody that has
Yeah.
had an injury, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So my business partner, I guess he didn't get to make it. I thought he was going to make it, but he was actually in an accident at work a few years back, and a small skid steer. He was a mechanic, and he was working on the back of the skid steer, and he hit the wrong pin, and it dropped the bucket on him.
Oh,
And so he has what they call an open pelvis, open book break on his pelvis. So his pelvis just went and opened up.
my
And
pelvis hurts thinking about it.
yeah, yeah. And
Bye-bye.
Lost Paul
sitting
Beach.
in a
Go ahead.
sitting in a tree stand hurt him. Sitting in the saddle gives him the support, and he's able to put the support where he needs to put it.
Wow.
And it, allows him to hunt longer.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
So
That's
there's
pretty amazing.
definitely that possibility for guys too. We get that call all the time, man. I have lower back. I have this issue, that issue. How's it going to work? And man, we tell that story, and then I've done FaceTime videos with guys, and they'll stand at a tree, and their wife will hold the phone or whatever, and I can tell them, hey, lower your tether and make this adjustment, and move this up your back, and then ask them, hey, what are you feeling now? So the customer service there, that's the forefront of our mind, is making sure that they're confident in what they have. And saddle hunting's new to the whole world. It looks bigger than it really is. And to be able to do that for guys is what we really enjoy and like bringing to the table.
Yeah. And that's pretty awesome how, both companies, both you guys here are very, customer based, trying to help, wanting to go that extra end. Like, I would love to say I'm a genius and I planned this. I didn't plan that at all. Like that's pretty awesome, how that worked out in regards to that. And that's just an extra step that you're not going to get with some of these generic companies out there. Especially like for me and the thinking of a saddle, like personally, I haven't used one yet, and maybe it's just I just got to get over the fear and just try it, and I would love to try it. But it's a like that. You said it right. Like it feels like you need to go in and try a pair of pants at the store or something. Like it's not a one shop fit all. So to be able to say I'm a 38 to 40 and I can have that range and be able to tighten it or loosen it, or it's cold, I'm wearing my heavy duty nomad suit or whatever it is, and I can loosen that up a little bit. I mean, from what I've heard from others that saddle hunt, they wish they had that. So everyone out there who's a saddle hunter, like, you got to go down, you got to try this, and you got to look at it, because that's what sets these gentlemen apart.
Yeah, I know personally that's what I can say, because I know when I reached out to Benny, just like any company that has people from social media reach out to him, in the back of your guys' minds, after enough people reach out to you, it's got to be, well, what's this guy want, or what's this guy's angle, what he's asking, what's he want for free,
Yep.
But at the same time, when I reached out to Benny, and talked to him about his saddle and everything else, that's what I ran a different saddle before. I won't name any names or nothing, but there was no adjustability to it. It was you get online, you buy a small, medium, large, or extra large, and then you hope that you fit in it, which, hey, it worked. I killed deer out of it. But then I got a hold of Benny's, Buzzard Roost saddles, and just the options, okay, I hurt my back last week and I still want to hunt. So now I want a little more cup, I want to sit down on it more. I don't want it pulling on my back at all because I'm hurt. Or, all right, I've been hunting 3 days straight and now I really need a bunch of support. So I'll spread those, spread the bottom and the top, and I'll sit in it like a recliner in the tree, you know, and those different options. And a lot of people, like you said, different body shapes or whatever, you know, a big complaint when I tell people that I saddle hunt, they say, "Oh, I tried it and it hurt. You know, it didn't fit right. It hurt my hips, or it hurt this, or it hurt that." Well, that's where, you know, it does take a little bit of time sometimes to figure out what you like and what feels good, or every tree is different. You know, the angle is different in every single tree. So sometimes you got to sit there and play with it for a little bit and get it right. But having the ability to change how it pulls on your hips and how it hugs you, is all, it changes everything. Like when I went to Virginia at Paul's this year, the day I finally shot that buck, I'd been in the tree 10 hours. So I'd been in Benny's saddle for 10 hours. I ate my lunch up there. His wife made me a sandwich. I was up.
We have video to prove it.
And but finally, you know, after 10 hours, I only had maybe, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour left of daylight. And at 10 hours, I finally got that guy, as Benny would say, that old joker, you know, he stepped out, but he did. He finally came down there and gave me an opportunity. So, you know, other saddles maybe I could have done that, but would I have wanted to, or would I have been as comfortable? No, not a chance. So, and just like you said with the broadheads, the same thing, you know, at that 10-hour mark, if I'd have drew back and I was worried about my broadhead, or I was worried about my bow, or I was worried about my saddle making noise, or how I could lean, you know, because that bow I had to reach across my bridge and shoot across my body, like 33-yard shot, which is pretty for me, you know, for anybody, but that's difficult when you're in a tree across your bridge, you know, trying to self film and everything else. It all worked out, but if you're not comfortable and you don't trust what you're wearing or shooting, then it doesn't work, you know.
That's so true. Because like, okay, so when you're in that situation and you have fatigue or whatever, like when that animal moves, there's so many variables that like you don't want anything to be in the way, or you have that animal drop or have to hit the shoulder or something. Like that was my biggest thing. Like I'm gonna go right through it. Like that's
awesome.
I know that you have all that confidence, and like you said, every tree is different, dude. I sat in some oak trees out in Northern California hunting blacktail out of a saddle, and I can't tell you how much I wished I had adjustability, because my legs, I'm like, dude, my legs are like going numb.
Or from the ground, you look at it from the ground, you're like, oh, this is perfect. And then you get 20 feet up there and it's the worst tree you've ever climbed. So you have, but you're already up there. You don't want to come back down, you know, so you've got to be able to make it work, and you got to be able to be comfortable, you know.
That's so true.
Absolutely. So Benny, real quick. So how did the saddle industry, like, how did that come about? Were you a lineman, or like, what's your
For me,
history there? Yeah, you.
so for me, it was I got into it because I like to drown one time in the swamp with a climber on my back. You never know when the bottom's gonna fall out underneath you. And I was walking on some floton, and when I hit the hole, I went through and I went up to my nipples in water, but the stand was on my back and it's rigid, so it caught on the floton kind of like a snowshoe would grab, but I was underneath it. And so when it did, it forced me down and in the water, and it took a minute to get it off. I probably wasn't anywhere near drowning, but it definitely made me think, hey, this could be bad. So I got out of it, and I was like, man, something's gotta be something easier walking across this swamp. And Trophy Line, back when I was in college, they had their saddle, and I saw it at the hunting store that I worked at, and I was like, man, a saddle would definitely do it. I could leave it in my backpack, just walk in and do it. But that was the only saddle I knew of at the time. So I started Googling saddles and everything. And this is before saddle hunting was mainstream. There wasn't a Tether, there wasn't a Latitude or Cruiser or any of those guys. There was just one. There was Arrow Hunter Kestrel was the only saddle that I could come up with that was mass produced. And other than that, the guys were DIYing saddles, making their own, and you know, just getting out there. And so I started following the saddle hunter community, and I made my own saddle. boy, get out of there.
He appears every once in a
Yes,
while.
He's been trying to peek over my shoulder. I done popped him in the head with a pencil a couple times.
That's all right. Let him on.
Yeah. But so I started looking in the DIY and everything, and I did that. And man, you know, then saddle hunting started going mainstream a couple years after. And you know, I loved saddle hunting. It was everything that I expected it to be. It wasn't comfortable though. It was not comfortable at all. Hurt so bad. Bruises on your hips when you got done, but I was in love with the concept of it, and it changed the way I hunted just because it gave me the confidence to go and walk further, scout more because of the way I hunt. It just made that difference. It was the difference in how many deer I killed in a season. And so I loved it. And then the guys that I hunt with, they started noticing, and they're like, man, I want a saddle. And they jump online and they're like, man, that thing's $500. Minnie, you made yours, right? Can you make me one? So I made one. I made one for a guy, and he didn't tell me till a year or two later that it sucked and he hated it, but he didn't spend $500. But you know, during that time, I learned to sew even better than I know now, and I learned the ins and outs. You know what stitch you have to put to make sure it's safe and it's load bearing, and things like that. And I made a few things. I made pouches. I bought myself a Kafaro backpack, but I didn't spend the extra money on the pouches. I made those myself. The camp bag, I bought the minimalist striker backpack, and I made my own camp bag, put into it. So I did a lot of DIYing to get around it. And then the same buddy that I made the one for it sucked, he asked me to make him another one. Well, he didn't tell me that he'd already bought 2 other company saddles. And when I made it, I only made the bottom panel. And I was working nights. And so I was going into my night shift. I made the saddle. I brought it to him the next night. And we're in the middle of the plant, and we tie up to a pipe, and he sits in it, and he's like, Benny, this blows both of them out of the water. It blows both of them out of the water. I'm like, don't lie to me.
Yeah.
Oh, really it does. So from there, I created the back band to match, and it was always evident to me that it needed to have, you know, multiple angles of adjustment. The bottom panel, you know, in a single panel, like you only have one pivot point, but that thing has to be above your iliac crest to keep you from falling out of it. So really, do you have that adjustment? And that led me to 2 panels. And you look at the 2 panels, they can get underneath your butt where you need to be, but they can't. When you do the bottom panel, it messes with the top panel too. So you're either pressure on your back or too much slack here. There's not independent adjustments. And when I saw that need, you know, that's where my build really came together and made a huge difference. A hub system versus just one connection point to rotate your bridge around. And it made all the difference in the world. And I was able to eliminate hip pinch because on the bottom panel, the strap that runs around your pocket line, around where the good Lord made you get your tail whipped, that you don't have hip pinch there. It's made for that. It's made for that pressure. But underneath is where your hip is, and that's what gives you that hip pinch. Well, with my design, that's able to flare right there. You're able to flare that around your hip bone and around that sensitive area, and that allows you to sit there for 10 hours. And it really made a difference for me. And it just kind of a snowball after that. I literally bought enough material to make 10 saddles, sold them to family members that hunted and buddies, guys that I knew if they fell, they weren't going to sue me. And That's the honest
Very
truth.
important.
Yeah.
Honest truth. And then it got to where their friends were calling me. And once their friends started calling me and I didn't have that direct connection, I was like, oh, it's time. And I just did the whole LLC thing and really got into the meat and potatoes of it and figured out business. Still figuring out business, but I got that part taken care of. And here we are. I sold a little over 1,500 saddles last year and
Wow.
still growing. And that's nothing in comparison to these other companies. Like I'm still working a day job, but not
Yeah, I
long.
know you're hard to get a hold of. Every
Yeah.
time I
Yeah.
text you, I'm working. I'm
Yeah.
building this, I'm building that.
Yeah.
Wow,
For sure.
1,500 saddles is nothing to laugh at. I mean, that's a great testament right there to what you're doing, and your ratings and everything show it. So, and to be able to keep that level of customer service at that volume is just impeccable. I mean, even circling back to Marty there at Iron Will, and to be able to reach out to people saying, arrow spine and what do they need, and how can I help you, and giving them feedback on it, like that's what separates good from great, honestly. Like,
Well,
and go
dude,
ahead.
we're small companies.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part. Like, you're probably gonna hopefully be on your own here soon, making your own saddles and do that full time. But like, there's literally like 6 people in the company: Bill's wife, me, Eric, Bailey Cloud, and Tessa. So 6. Yeah.
Yep.
We have 6 also.
See, that's right.
Yeah.
Hey, another thing Paul knew, he knew that prior to this. Paul's been
Did
doing
he?
his
I
research.
did see on the brains behind the no, I mean that's just to be able to be at that level, and to have an idea. I mean, from Bill and from you, Benny, like to have an idea and an ideation of what you want to do, and then be able to physically, you know, put the rubber where the road is and actually make it, like that's impressive to me. I mean, we were sitting around BSing one day going, we're going to start a podcast, and here we are at 11,000 followers in less than a year, and top 50 in the US in regards to outdoor podcasts, and I never thought that was going to happen. But that was easy in comparison to, like, I'm going to build a broadhead, or I'm going to make a saddle. Like that to me is that manufacturing background and process is just impressive, from both ends there. So kudos to both companies and both you guys out there. That's pretty awesome. I do want to circle back a little bit here with Marty and talk a little bit more on marketing, and maybe Benny can
There you go.
start taking some notes over here on what you're doing. So what's to come here for Iron Will? I mean, it seems like every week there's a different etching, different version, different, you've already hit the ground, the footprint of what's great in regards to fixed broadheads and how they work, and the grain weight. You already have all the different variables around that. So, like, what's the next step? I mean, do you guys ever feel like there's, or maybe, I don't know, there could be a 5-year plan, who knows? But I guess for me, being not behind the scenes, but just someone asking, like, it seems like there's always something, but there's could be a stopping point, right? Because there's so much that happens so quickly, right? So, like,
Yeah.
what's next?
Yeah, so Bill's still doing studies on like arrow fletchings, arrow design, broadhead design. Like things are still, we're looking at, trying to develop different broadheads for different, hunting styles, whether it's, your turkey hunter, your big game hunter, like meeting every grain. So at 100 grains all the way up, instead of being like, oh, well, we only have this in, 150 grains or this kind of style broadhead. But the biggest thing is we have our own like custom built arrows, and he has a machine that literally squares the end of your arrows better than anything else. He digitizes like under a microscope the actual hairs or fibers of the arrow, the tip of the arrow, to see how straight it is. So it's when we make custom arrows, the back the knocking end and the broadhead end are perfectly straight. And then we have Easton doing our fletching. So a 3-degree helical machine fletch. Our fletchings come from AAE. And it's the hybrid hunter. So it's the hybrid material, but the hunter vein profile. So that higher height of that, it's like 0.55 height.
Mhm. Yep.
And so having that actually stabilizes fixed blade broadheads better than what we've been testing. And like these students at CU have access to a wind tunnel, a phantom camera, and like Bill set them up with a
We're
Hooter
gonna
shoot.
put Troy in that before he goes in May.
Those are the arrows I'm talking about that will fly and hit where I need them to hit. Like, you need somebody to test those, just let me know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we literally like I would be like, okay, Bill, like there's this new fletching, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna do my own testing. I'd get hunters, I could get tack veins, I got all these different veins, and I shot them in different conditions: side wind, front wind, tailwind, everything, and shot different weights from 185 grains to 150 grains. I did my own redneck testing and saw my drop, did 4 fletch as well to see how much drag I was getting. And it does make a huge difference. So every time that I thought that I was like, maybe I could win, Bill was right. And I was like, okay, all right.
So I mean, us in the archery industry, and I'm sure other people have different opinions. But for me in my shop and what I've been, kind of a status quo by is if you're using a fixed blade broadhead, your fletching should be at least as big as the broadhead itself, because obviously you have spin and drag in the front, you need to steer with the back, not the front. So to have a reduced size fletching in the back is going to basically get you to tail left, or right based on your grip and your string draw. So if your fletching is equal, if not slightly larger than that broadhead in the front, you are going to then steer from the back and have a more accurate pattern. So is that what you guys have seen out there? Is that still true?
Yeah, totally. And a lot of that has to do with, so you have like of course spine consistency, having the like good concentricity, right? Like, squaring the front of your arrow is so important, right? But
Yeah.
then
My 9-year-old cuts mine, so
yeah.
they're perfect, Troy. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Sand it a little more. But no, like, if you have, say, a weaker spine or not a right fletching with like a balance, not like 12 to 15% FOC is what we kind of recommend.
Yep.
But if you were in that, like, say 8% FOC front of center, and you're then fletching and everything, your arrow is just gonna not stabilize as it's coming out of the bow, whether it's out of tune or there's windy conditions or you release, you punched it or whatever. So having that proper vein height and then properly spined, having a little front of center, it stabilizes much faster coming out of the bow with that spin up. So, once that arrow's under load and it's coming out of the bow, like I shoot a very stiff spine for my setup just because
Me too.
all that efficiency, I want it to be driving that arrow forward instead of flexing and then having these variables downrange. And literally noticed that with like a 300 spine. And I was like, I saw a little bit and I was like, well, what is it going to hurt me? What's your setup? What are you running?
So it depends on which bow I'm shooting. So if I'm in the 70-pound range, I'm typically at a 300 spine, so 250 or 300, depending on the bow. Because certain bows like different arrows. The Prime likes a stiffer arrow, the Matthews like a lighter arrow or a less spined arrow. They just tune better based on what is there, right? So that's a big one. Once you start getting up into 80 pounds, the stiffer your arrow you can go, the better you are with that. But for me, I've always erred on the side of being stiffer and being overspined than underspined, because you can make that correction. You can make that correction with your front of center. You can make that correction with your vein height. You can make that correction in your tuning, right? So if you're underspined, you're never going to fix that flight. It's just going to absorb that kinetic energy like a bow, right? It's just going to go whoop, like that, instead of straight. Where a stiffer one, yeah, you may get a little left to right inconsistency, but I can fix that. So I'll always err on stiffer. Um, and I think I've always erred. I think Troy's arrows that I built for him for his competition, if he throws 100 grain broadhead on there just for the shoot or field point for the shoot, he's right around 13% front of center. That's a 70-pound bow shooting. It's a prime RVX2. He's probably getting 303, 304 out of that, 430 grains. Like he's going to be good in what he's going. He'll be able to reach out 100 yards plus if he needs to without much variation there. So um, for me, it's what you're going for, right? And people come into the shop all the time and they're like, I want this bow, I got this bow, or whatever, I need arrows. I'm like, you should really start with the arrow, and then let's talk about the bow after there, because there's a big difference there in what you need. The arrows, obviously the broadhead kills the game. The person shooting, the accuracy of it kills the game. The arrow is the one that delivers that punch, right? So like you could punch someone in the face, but if you don't have an arm attached to your fist, like it ain't gonna happen. It's gonna be very difficult to do that. And even more so the component piece, like we use ethics, you guys have your components as well. Like, you could have the best broadhead in the world. You have a cheap 25-cent stock insert that comes with it, holding your $200 broadhead and your $30 arrow. Like you're relying on a 20-cent piece to kill your $11,000 elk trip that you just had. Like there's a problem there. So I think there's a lot of variables that go into it. But for me, I've always relied on mechanical broadheads my whole life. This year is the first year that I'll be going fixed permanently for the year, just because I always hated that extra mile of tuning, right? Like I want to be able to get my field point on, shoot, all right, I'm going hunting, screw my broadhead on and go, right? The ease is there, the accuracy is there, but the technology has gone so far. And boo on me for not doing enough of the research out there. Like I I probably haven't used a fixed blade broadhead since like the original Muzzy that came out, and like you had to like put the little rubber thing on there and you had to twist it to get it to spin right, and you had to keep twisting it and then twist it some more and then all this stuff. But then you have, all these broadheads out there now, yours included, where you put them on and if you're building your arrow correctly, yeah, you're not going to put a, half-inch low pro four fletch, with a 2.5-inch, 3-inch cut iron will. It's going to go woo, and they're going to be like, oh, the broadhead sucks. It's like, no, you do, because you made the wrong decision. But that, there's, for me, it's now learning the intricacies of that again and finding what works. And I mean, today alone, I fletched 8 different arrows, working with this new broadhead that I've been shooting, trying to see where I can get with it. And for me, there's 2 hard points when it comes to fixed blade broadheads. And sorry if I'm
Oh, no,
boring you. I can talk forever.
love this.
Um,
Love
a a 3 blade is easy. For
Yeah.
me, a 3 blade is easy. A 2 blade and a 4 blade, like that's a whole different ball game. Like in regards to your tune and your setup, like there's so much that goes into it, and that's where the height, the angle of your helical, the front of center weight, the spine of your arrow, everything comes into play. You can throw a 3 blade broadhead on there, and if it's pretty close to your veins, like you're gonna be pretty close. Like there's not much difference there. But that 4 and specifically that 2, that takes some extra time and love in there. And honestly, your field points, they go out the window once you start shooting that. Like there's no point in even shooting a field point unless you're going to retune, reset up, do what you want to do. If you're doing a 3D shoot or whatever, like you might as well have a whole separate bow, because it's a whole different ball game when it comes to it. And for me, for years, that was annoying. Like I just wanted the one and go. But now it's a challenge. It's like I have the opportunity to do it. I have the flexibility to do it. I have the time to do it. So some people don't. I get that, but it's like buying a car and then all of a sudden you want to put a turbo on it, or you want to do this and you're a tuner or whatever. Like that's what you do, like that you can keep going. So there's a lot that goes into it, and it's fun. For me, it's fun.
So
So
when you're tuning, are you mostly shooting through paper? Are you doing bare shafts, or what's your like process?
so for me, it's bare shaft, paper tune at 10 feet at the initial setup. So I bolt my rest on, I find my D-loop point, I get where I need to go, I rip it through paper. Once I get the perfect tear from there, I don't paper tune ever again.
Yeah.
It's, you're walk back tuning, you're doing what you need to do to be able to get that consistent flight out there. As long as I know the arrow's coming out square and straight at that point in time. I mean, I have a 16th through a 32nd left and right, up and down that I can go. That's not going to affect that tear, especially with these micro adjust rests. If you're not using a micro adjust rest, big difference. But if you are, it gives you that much flexibility to say, okay, I shoot 20 straight through paper. I'm good. I'm hitting dead center. I go to 40. I start to drift, right? And for
So
me, the way I shoot, I wear contacts. The way I grip, I always drift left. It's just me, the way I see. So I start drifting left, right? And then I can fix that going back. So if I have to move my rest a 16th of an inch, when I go back to 20 yards, it ain't going to make a difference. It's people start moving their sight at that point, and then they're all screwed up going from
right, you're
there.
losing energy too. You're losing energy because if your arrow's not coming perfectly out of your
Correct.
bow and it has some variance, you're losing a little bit of, power in that
Yeah. And that's the
bow.
number one thing I see when people bring bows in from other shops or from wherever is, I'm just, something's not right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's rip it through paper and they got to tear this big, they're gripping it wrong. They're torquing it. They're whatever they need to do. Um, that's from there. So,
And do you ever bear shaft pass? Like, do you shoot bear shafts out to like 30 or 20 or anything like that?
I'll bear shaft at 10 feet standard.
Yeah.
And then I go to 10 yards just to check flight.
Yeah.
For me, once it's flying at there ain't much of a difference that's going to happen, as I go back. That's going to be me at that point. So I don't ever really find the need to unless something drastic happens and I'm like, wow, this is really wrong. Something's wrong. So that's typically my standard back there. I have shot out to 20, 30 yards bare shaft. Um, I mean, it's not showing any difference that I'm showing at 10 feet or 10 yards at that
But
point in time.
so those micro adjustments that you are making to your rest to bring that back in, that can make a difference doing bear shaft like just at 20 to like I literally just got the new Matthews and measured out my left and right, got my height through paper and then went out and started bear shaft tuning and literally like at 40 yards was dead nuts. Couldn't believe it. Easiest bow I've ever freaking tuned. Couldn't I
Hmm.
was like, this isn't real.
Yeah,
But and that could have been just super lucky setup.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I
having
haven't
that,
met a I haven't met a Matthews. I haven't had to change the top hats on.
yeah, I did, well, and I'm lucky I'm the 29-inch draw guy.
So
So
yeah, they're standard, low notch on the top hat's perfect for you. So,
right, it's
uh,
sad. It's
yeah,
like I'm lucky.
yeah,
But then, Bill, same thing. Like I know he's like a 30-inch draw, so he definitely, he does have some pretty decent tweaks to do, but like both of us will bear shaft out to like 30 or 40 and then literally if I have my side tapes right, I could send one of our 125 S's to 100 yards and I can shoot within, a pretty decent group. Like I killed it. So internet. I killed the antelope this year 109 yards. This
wow,
guy right there. And literally drew, snuck in, took 4 stalks that morning. Didn't they weren't very big, and I was like, oh man, like first day I should hold off. Well, I come up on that dude and I was like, oh, this, it's pretty good. And him and his buddy were kind of feeding away. Had no idea it was there. Wind was perfect, so I was like, all right, well, drew back, let down because everything didn't feel right. Kind of readjusted, drew. Dude, level was perfect, everything, and boom, and went straight off his hip, out his shoulder, and he didn't even move. He just stood there, and his buddy was like, because they can
dude.
hear the
Yeah,
arrow.
yeah. Like, dude,
Yeah,
what's
they're
wrong?
here. Yeah, his buddy was like, like, let's go. There's a dude standing right here. And yeah, that was it. Like it was by doing that bear shaft tuning, I feel like I
Yeah.
literally for some reason your arrow's going perfectly straight out of the bow, as you said, everything's should line up. But there can be some issues with like concentricity, not having that, because some aluminum ferrules or some things could not be perfectly square.
hmm
That can have some issues in some of those like different broadheads or whatever. I've noticed it with like cheaper field points even back in the day, and you'd go and spin it, and it's just like,
Yeah.
did I shoot that? I'm pretty sure it's new.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
what
that's
it is.
where
The
you're
the
using
tips aren't
stock.
perfectly square for me. I got to
Yeah.
readjust.
You're using stock, sometimes inserts and stuff like that. Like even you could have the best broadhead in the world and they're putting all this focus on blades and tips and opening and deployment and whatever. And that square cut right there is just not microscopic where it needs to be. And you spin it on a piece of paper or a piece of glass and you just see that little bit of wobble, and
Yeah.
that little bit of wobble. It's like not being able to adjust your saddle when your legs go numb. Like you need to be able to have that, that option there.
It's the little things that really change the
It's the
big
little
picture,
things, yeah. And they say it all the time in business growing up and everything. It's the little things that matter. It's the customer service that matters, right? And I think the key, for this podcast right here is the functionality, the customer service, the access that they have, the guests and the customers have to you all and what you're doing is fantastic, right? And if you guys can keep that going for the future, then that's amazing. I mean, you'll be untouched. I know me in my shop, is I tell everyone, and no one else does it, is if I do something to your bow, I guarantee it. So if I tie a D loop on your bow and it slides or it's pinching your knock or your string stretches or whatever, like come in, I'll replace it for nothing. Or like I have one guy who comes in, he shoots like 5,000 arrows a week. He's crazy. And I replace his D loop every week. I don't charge him. Like he bought his bow from me. He bought 2 dozen arrows from me. He bought his whole setup from me. Like I'm gonna charge him. It cost me like $1 to do his D loop, right? In 2 seconds. Like, am I gonna charge him $20 or $25 to do his D loop? No, but that keeps him coming back. And for someone to be able to reach out to Benny and say, hey, let's FaceTime. I'm having problems with this. Like that could be the difference between, yeah, maybe you'll spend a little bit more, but you ain't calling tethered and having someone talk to you on FaceTime about, whatever else is going on. And, sorry to them out there. I don't know who they are, but that's it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right. So you can call other broadcast companies and they're not going to do that. They're not going to pick your arrow. They're not going to tell you what weight to use or, what helical degree to use or anything like that. But they will. And that's customer service. That's what it's about. It's going above and beyond.
No,
You have to love people and invest in their success.
yeah,
Not feel like you're investing, but truly invest in their success.
100%.
Absolutely.
Makes all the difference in the world.
100%.
Absolutely. So Benny, what's next for you, man? What's coming down the pipe? I heard you got some magic working down there.
Yeah, we're working on some stuff. Definitely our leg straps are being changed. So
Okay.
you can look for that. That's one of our biggest complaints, or that's actually the only one that I've really heard, is the leg straps just aren't, they're not typical. They're not like everybody else's leg straps. So while I suck at marketing, I have a comfortable saddle and other people are speaking for me a lot of times. But when I'm listening to them, the only thing they can't, say good is the leg straps. So fully changing those. They're going to be more typical. I
But it's
tried.
typical better.
I think that's one of those. It's neither here nor there.
Got it.
My goal in making it. I don't know how much elk hunting you guys do. I think
A bunch.
but you try and dual purpose everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was creating my leg straps, I was dual purposing, other components on the saddle, the thumb loops, the ability to adjust the bottom panel down. I said I didn't want them to just be thumb loops. And then at the time, the big craze was guys was cutting their leg straps off their saddles because they hated them. And most of that was to do with the angle that they pulled at. They didn't like it. It kind of squished the boys when they was doing certain moves. So they would cut them off. And then you see them on Facebook for sale with cut leg straps, and it's like, I don't want to buy that.
Yeah.
You cut it off. So I didn't want people selling my stuff that they had modified because they hated it. So I made my leg straps fully removable, and I made them where they double back on themselves using the thumb loops. And it's just not as efficient as I thought it would be. For me, it's not an issue. It just how my brain works, it works. But for others, it's not. So as long as I keep the right angle, coming across the leg and slightly up versus straight up, I think I'll be all right. And I've sent out a couple prototype saddles to a few guys, and with 3 different leg strap positions, and it was kind of unanimous with the one that they sent back, said, hey, use this spot. So leg straps definitely changing. There's some other stuff that I don't want to say just yet.
Okay. That strap that ties my deer to the tree before I get there, is that going to be coming down the pipe, or?
That's definitely going to be upcharged.
Okay.
Going to be upcharged for that one.
Yeah. It needs to be 5 feet longer. My last deer almost choked himself when he was.
Yeah. But we do have some things coming. You're going to see more accessories from us.
Great.
And I don't know when this podcast will air, but I'll be quitting my job within the month.
Nice.
Dude,
congratulations.
Heck yeah,
Woo-hoo.
bro.
Thank you, guys.
That's awesome, dude.
Yep.
So I'll be able to focus more on the
You can join us in the Broke Entrepreneur Club.
There you go. That's all it was. Hey, we're broke, but we're free.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Good for you, man.
Appreciate that.
Good for you. Well deserved. Well deserved. This one will probably come out. We'll try to launch you typically on Mondays. Depending on when the editor can get it done. He just took care of some other stuff for me, so he is pretty free right now. So hopefully this will air on Monday coming up. So I should be able to get that over to him. So hopefully it'll be a little preview for those out there. Or maybe if your wife didn't know you were quitting your job, just don't let her listen to this before.
Yeah, she knows. She's not as excited as I am, but
hey, it's
that's the makeup of a woman. They're supposed to be a little apprehensive about things like that. So
yep, I did it this last year and left a very, very high-ranking, affluent position to do what I love and to be with my kids and my family, and it's hard. It's definitely different. There's stress in whatever you do, whether it's the man telling you to do something and the expectation, or it's yourself and your own pressure. My advice to you would be stay calm, stay cool, stay tactful, stay ahead of the flow, and keep your eye on the prize, because the only one that can make a difference in what you do is you at this point in time. And the only pressure you're going to feel is from you at this point in time. And if you're anything like me, that pressure is tenfold that anyone else can put on me. So, be aware of that and, reap the benefits of your rewards. I mean, I rather sell one bow perfectly tuned, a day or a week or a month or whatever it is, and see that person be successful and be happy than, go through all that grind and whatever. The only downfall is insurance is pretty expensive. Not gonna lie. Not gonna
be
lie.
proud of it too, because those boys that keep peeking in are watching you. So that's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Be proud of it.
Yeah. Work hard and you give something back. My goal was always to leave something to my kids, to leave a legacy, whether it was a business or real estate or, not necessarily money. I don't feel that, I'm not rich by any means. Like, I don't feel the the need to leave people money, but leaving them something that they can do something with. It's tangible. They can either sell it, they can make it better, they can do it different, they can do something with. It's a legacy. So that was
It can even
always
be the wisdom that you come across
correct.
that you can pass down. That
Absolutely.
might be the biggest thing.
Yeah. Yeah, in our day and age, I mean, for me, archery shop and tuning is going to be dead, right? The age of YouTube and Bowtech has done it where you don't need an archery shop to do that. They have, deadlock systems and Allen wrenches moves everything. You can buy a press for $500 and do it in your shop. So to be able to go out and find a pro tuner like myself that wants to do the right thing and keep you guys going, it will die in my generation. I guarantee you.
I don't think so, dude. I
Really?
yeah, I mean, I get it because like the whole timing thing, like whether what rest you have, if you put your string through, through your center serving or something like that, and then the timing goes off a little bit. There's so many little things that a pro archer, dude, you've seen it all. Like a lot of these guys that are seeing these videos on YouTube are so freaking cookie cutter, bro, that they're
Yeah.
not. They're yeah,
Yep.
it's
I
a
think it's
crap.
also understanding every brand, right? So I kind of compare it to like the auto industry. Like, yeah, you can go to Ford or Chevy and they know the ins and outs and the recalls and everything on their product 100%. But at the end of the day, they can still fix anything that comes in. Um, and we don't go to school. Like, yeah, there's Matthews Masterclass you can go to. There's certain things like that, but the good ones, like, dude, we came up doing this. How did you learn how to do that? You bought that bow, you took that shit apart. Excuse me, sorry, your kid's here. And you took that thing apart, right? And then you screwed it up royally, putting it back together. And then you had to figure out why, because your parents were gonna whoop you. like that's how it is, and any good mechanic I know did the same thing. So I don't know. I feel I don't know. I feel it the archery industry does not make it easy for dealers and for tuners and for you got to have brick and mortar, you got to be a certain distance from other people, you have to do this and this, and yet they're going out of business, their lack of sales, I mean, there's 3 archery companies right here this year that are going to go bankrupt and out of business because they're not having enough sales, and the names will blow you away, and I'm not the one to be able to release that information, but you're going to be like, what? And that's why. But yet that brand won't let me sell it because I'm 32 miles from the other vendor instead of 35. But yet you're crying for money. Like, and people are coming to me wanting that. Like, they don't want to drive that hour to go there. Like, let's have it. But I think we're gonna do it to ourselves. I think. Just my opinion on that.
I think people are still gonna want to come in though because the easy button's so easy to press. So
Yeah.
they can be like, hey man, tie my D loop. Like, dude, most people you should already know how to do that, tie your peep in. But like, dude, there's so many different ways to skin a cat. And I think like you as a tech are gonna know way more ways to skin that cat than just your average Joe
Yeah.
watching
But
YouTube
don't you
videos.
think that will then cause it to diminish because you're getting the one way to skin a cat, the one way that I know for that brand, where you three on this cast have your own way of doing it that works, right? I mean, I see it all the time with peep ties, and there's 20 million different ways to tie in a peep, right? There's none of it's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you're not getting peep rotation, the peep doesn't go flying across the field. Like, who cares? Don't matter. But there's the right way, and there's the technical way, and then there's any way that works. But you don't think a little bit that might give them, like, you three have your own way of doing it. I have my way of doing it. That
Some
uh,
options. Gives them
yeah,
options though, because you could be like, hey, like, even for me the photos and video guy, like I'm super visual, so I could be like, hey, do you like this tie? Do you like this tie? Or you're left-handed? What about this tie? Like, some of that stuff can be pleasing to certain people's eyes. Like I got a friend that shot I think there are bright orange strings or something. And he's like, dude, I can see the glare in my peep. And he's
Yeah.
shooting that Hamsky Raptor. And I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I got a Bowen that has neon yellow strings, and I swear my eyes when I'm done shooting it are like, holy Lord, like it's crazy. But no, it's yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I'm rooting for you. I think you'll be,
Yeah.
dude, I don't think
I
it's
hope
going.
so. I got a lot tied into it, so yeah, I hope so. I hope
I'm
for
rooting for
all
him
of
too.
us. I don't like to see the specialty like we're my family's a big shop local, shop small. Obviously, I was in Walmart today. I had to get dog food. No one in town sells dog food, so I had to go to Walmart for dog food. But like, you know, take care of those small businesses. Go to the small hardware store, go to the paint shop, go to the local saddle maker, go to, the local broadhead maker. Go to those people and do that and support them in what they do. So I hope that that lives on. I just from being a dealer and an insider, they don't make it any easier to do it. Which is hard. So
Yeah.
but
I
hey,
think,
that's
I think what the three of you, I mean, I'm sitting back because, all three, you guys are more onto the business side. I don't have any, I guess, dogs in that fight, if you will, as far as business goes with that. But just like you said earlier, the valuing, the customer and wanting them to be the best and have the best experience they can. That goes right back into an archery shop, which whether like you said, whether it goes away or not, if you got somebody you can call up with your saddle and say, hey, I love the saddle, but I can't get the fit right, and you help explain them or walk it through them or
Mhm.
customize it like you can, and just like you said, you get so many DMs and direct messages about questions that might not necessarily affect the broadhead, but they affect the arrow and the bow. And hey, your broadhead is amazing, but I can't make it do what I think it should do. And so you guys help walk them through that. Well, it's the same with an archery shop, and that trust, going back to the trust in your products. I know you do all the stuff, through your shop there in Virginia, but sometimes I'll get something here and I need to go in somewhere because I'm not a bow tech by any means. And, I go here to a local shop here and I trust what he does. You know what I mean? I trust what you've done, and then I trust what he does. So when I leave there, it's the same feeling. It's
Yeah.
trusting your product, trusting the people, and having that customer service and that value.
Yeah, as long as you got that, they'll keep coming. I
Mm-hmm.
promise you that because easy button and the customer service combination, they're coming because
Yeah.
they'll trust you and um I don't know why people ask me some of the questions they ask me. They think because I make a saddle, I'm an expert. Truly an
Yeah.
expert. I
Yeah.
think they'll.
What kind of underwear should I wear when I wear a saddle?
Yeah. I'm telling you, it happens.
3/4.
Yeah. That's funny.
Banana hammock to master hammock.
Yeah.
Hey, it depends on how cold it is outside. You got to layer
Yeah,
up.
right. Yeah. I'm in a fur coat.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, gentlemen. Well, I appreciate all your time here today. This has been fantastic. I love the way this new format worked out and the, going back and forth and the meshing of the two different brands here. And I hope y'all didn't mind coming on and doing that. It's an honor for us to be able to have anyone come on and share in this. We're just, regular people trying to have fun and chat and talk to good brands and promote them and with different minds or same mindsets, same moral values. Family, friends, and hunting. So as long as we can continue to do that, that's what we're here for. So thank you all for coming on. Troy, thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you
Marty,
guys again.
Benny,
Thank you
Benny,
for
what's
the
your
time.
son's
Nice
name?
meeting both of you.
Parker.
Hunter.
Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Hi, Parker.
I'm
Hi.
gonna, I'm gonna have to send you a hat. You
There
like
you go.
that?
Ooh, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Benny, hey,
Yeah.
you need to come out with a youth line, Benny, because I know my youngsters, they're all itching to go too. I just need something that they don't fall out of the tree when they climb up there with me.
We can make it. It's not often that we get the request, but when we do, we can make it.
There you go.
He's got
Nice.
one. He's got one. I'll have to share some pictures with y'all. We went on
Yeah.
a hawk hunt and he was sitting.
I heard something in the distance and I thought it was hogs and You didn't believe me at first.
No,
You looked behind you and then you saw them.
What was it?
what was it?
Hogs.
It was
Hogs. Nice.
Ooh.
Awesome.
Good
All
job.
right, gents. This is the Bowmen signing off. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
you.